Let's see. Okay, I think we are. I think I got it. I think so. Hello. Okay, hold on 1 second. I think. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Can you hear me?
Like, see, I have to. I think I should get a certificate today, or some kind of tech certificate or something, because
I think you deserve. I think you deserve it. Yeah.
Like, it's a miracle. Well, let's test it first. Let me see. Let me go live on. Good to see you, though. I haven't seen you this year.
I know.
All right, let's see if everyone can hear us. If you guys are on, if there's anyone on Instagram, can you confirm whoever's on
Oh,
Instagram?
Rachel, let me ask her.
Okay. Hey, TJ, can you see if you can, if I'm live on Instagram? No, not from my office, from your phone. Like, oh, you have notification? Okay. That's a miracle. That's a miracle.
We are live. Yeah, everyone can see.
Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hey, Mr. Kovina, how are you? All right, I'm trying to see if someone can sign in on Instagram, because we are doing. I'm using the different. Well, oh, okay. Everyone is on Instagram, so I think I have to. Let's see, comment and all that. Okay, perfect. That's a miracle. It actually worked. Hi, everyone. Every loud and clear. Welcome. Everybody say welcome, Miss Scott. Are you?
Hi. Third time is the charm. Third time is the charm for us.
I'm telling you, that's a miracle. Okay. Rachel is with us. All right. Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome in. We have Miss Aiyeola-Scott back with us today. And if you haven't seen her, then welcome. Say hello. This is Attorney 𝒊𝒎𝒎𝒊𝒈𝒓𝒂𝒏𝒕, immigration attorney based in Alabama, representing immigration clients in all 50 states. And like I said, our special guest this evening is Miss Aiyeola-Scott. She is a licensed professional counselor. For those on TikTok, we don't have to add, but you can hear a loud and clear. If you can't hear us loud and clear, just say that. So just pay attention. And you can always go on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook to watch the video itself. Okay, perfect. So we've been trying to get this done since like 200 weeks now. So
it's true.
But Miss Scott is one of my go-to professional counselors when it comes to immigration related cases that need psychological evaluation, such as VAWA cases, waiver cases, whatever it is we need, especially waiver and VAWA cases. And one thing that I've seen, an uptick I've seen, Ms. Scott, since this new president, I was going to say something else, but let's just say new president came in, is we're having an uptick in consultations of people being threatened by their spouses, using all the rhetorics that he uses and all that to make people afraid. And so this is a time where I said, you know what, I got to bring Ms. Scott back in so she can talk about how they're weaponizing, these abusive spouses are weaponizing this immigration policies, what you can do, and why it's absolutely important for you to be able to have that report as part of your case, how you can, identify and recognize when you're going through stuff like that, and how you can set yourself free without feeling that you are stuck in this kind of marriages. Okay, so real quick, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. I'm going to put Miss Scott, she is on already, and I'm just going to put it in our comment section as well. Let's see. Show. Okay, there we go. So I thought I had the number. Oh, hold on. Let me add the number.
It's okay. Here. I have it on my tag right there.
Okay. All right. So I just want to, but yeah. So if we need to, okay, it's not left. All right. Just give me 1 second. So everybody has, and real quick, I know we got quite a number of people were asking us for, on Tuesday, I talked about, reaching out to Pastor Isaac if you wanted to have a one-on-one prayer session, and people were like, oh, we didn't get the email. So Pastor Isaac's email real quick is 𝒊𝒎𝒎𝒊𝒈𝒓𝒂𝒏𝒕, but I'll put it up later on. Let's see. I just want to see something real quick, Miss Scott. Give me 1 second. I'd like to. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to add. Okay, there we go. All right, there we go. I'm going to add a number. Okay, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, like, follow, share. Miss Scott handle on Instagram is, go ahead and let everyone know what your handle on Instagram is.
It's Therapy Works with Yari. And I'll just start out by kind of introducing myself.
Yes, go ahead.
Again, I'm Yari. I'm a licensed therapist. And along with my private practice, I write evaluations for immigration cases, VAWA, hardship waivers, asylum. And, you know, today we could not let this opportunity pass by. There are so many people who are using scare tactics,
yes.
And it's a trickle-down effect. You know, when you see the administration use scare tactics, and then I wouldn't be surprised if in your own home there are scare tactics being things like, I'll have you deported,
Exactly.
if you don't do X, Y, and Z. But we'll get into all of the details. I'm going to break down some examples for you, but I just want you to know what a evaluation is specifically for VAWA. It is a 12 to 15 page report that outlines the abuse suffered. And we meet through Zoom. We have several sessions. Each session is about an hour to an hour and a half. And in that session, I gather valuable information from you, background information, how you met your spouse. And we go through each area of abuse, starting with psychological, emotional. Many people have experienced financial, harassment, threats, physical, sexual, abuse related to immigration status, just to name a few. And so what that report does, it really assists the attorney in,
absolutely,
you know, providing expert testimony. So that's what we want.
And I want to emphasize that a lot of people would ask me that, okay, do I really need, because, you know, I always say you cannot be penny wise, pound foolish. A lot of people would ask me, do I really need a psychological evaluation report? Can I just get a one-page letter? A one-page letter from, now I would tell you, I do not work with therapies that give me one-page letters. I've worked with quite a number, and I've narrowed it down. There's some specific states that if my client lives in that state, Miss Scott is the first person I'm calling. Not because, you know, when you know what you put into work for your clients, you also want to make sure you're working with a professional who's going to, you know, meet you at the same level, not just, you know, give you just a one-page letter is not going to do it. And so go ahead and emphasize why it's just not, I'm seeing you, or they suffered abuse, and that's, you know, that doesn't help a case. It doesn't help your VAWA case to your asylum case that way.
It's true. You need to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples, because just because somebody says they're going to write a report for you, you need to ask the specifics. How many sessions are we going to have? How long is the report? How detailed is the report? Because you do want to make sure that you are comparing apples to apples, because for many people, they do not have a police report. They do not have hospital records of abuse. And so for many people, this is their testimony, you know, and it's going to show the full impact of what you've been through. And many times I've noticed it's also the first time people have been in therapy and have had an opportunity to tell their story. It's so much healing.
Caribbeans, because you know, we Africans, Caribbeans, we don't do therapy.
Yeah.
You know, we don't. And as you can see from Miss Scott's last name, she's also
Yoruba.
Woman, so she has an insight into, and that's the thing that makes a difference in how you want to present your client's case. If you know someone who understands your tradition and your culture, and he has an insight in addition to being a professional, it makes a world of difference. And I wanted to touch on the types of abuse, because a lot of people always think that they need to have physical abuse in order to have a solid case. That's
Right.
number one. Number two, a lot of people don't understand the invaluable impact of a very, very good report. How that, for instance, a very solid report can take care of your abuse requirement. It can take care of your good moral character requirement. It can take care of your good faith and shared residence requirement in all report, because they're talking to someone who's a neutral party and giving an expert opinion, whether or not they find you credible based on their expertise and the training they've had. And the truth of the matter is, I've had cases where a psychological evaluation report has actually helped us cover quite a number of requirements in the VAR case, for instance, in an asylum case, for instance, because it's found to be credible. So if you just wanted to touch more on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So physical abuse is obviously leaves scars. We know what physical abuse is, but abuse is more than physical. So I'm going to give you some examples. Let's say that and this could be, it's gender neutral. This could be a male or a female could qualify for VAWA. But let's say, for example, a husband tells their wife, if you leave, I'll call ICE and have you deported. I'm going to do I want you to do a multiple choice. If you're for you guys who are watching, I'm going to give you the categories. Okay. Emotional and psychological is category A. Economic is category B, and financial is category C, and abuse related to your immigration status is D. Okay. What do you think? What category do you think that is? If someone says, I am going to call ICE on you and have you deported, if you guessed abuse related to immigration status, you're correct. That is an example of abuse related to immigration status. Here's another one. If your abuser tells you or withholds basic needs from you, they're the sole provider, and they say, you're having to beg for basic needs. You're being left for days without food, transportation, health care. Which one do you think that is? Okay. If you guessed economic or financial abuse, that is correct. Okay. Another one is, if you are my wife and you must sleep with me, it's your obligation, it's your duty. Okay. That is sexual abuse or sexual coercion. So all of these examples, people don't realize that I could qualify, and your story, your testimony holds weight. You just got to get with the right person who can help bring it out of you, who can help ask these questions so that we can clearly document it. So,
yeah, very, very important. And so we want to just emphasize also, because of what's been going on now, that in spite of the fear mongering that's going on, now you're going to add to it that you've got this spouse you're living with that has refused to help you, refuses to give you the documents you need, and now it's everything on the news is being thrown at you. It's the more reason why you now have you are basically, that is, you're dealing with psychological abuse in that regard, and the more reason why you should now at this time have an evaluation done and how you can use that their threats, their abuse to regain your freedom, your power. And that's where a psychologist comes into, because abusers, and Scott, talks a lot about narcissists. They don't leave marks, whether it's physical or anything it's going to be like they leave a trail. They do not. They are very, very skilled in what they do, and that's where you have a psychologist who can help you, a counselor can help you figure out that what you're going through is indeed abuse, and how you can use that to your advantage and get out of such a relationship.
I completely agree. I mean, the new policies that are coming across, I mean, we've got two ways to think of things. We can either fold under pressure, fold under anxiety, or we can stand up and figure out how we can make the system work for us. And I believe that, things like, if you leave me, you'll get deported, or they're really cracking down, or look
I've
at
heard. Yep.
Instagram, look at all the people
Yep.
being rounded up, or, they're going to come after you next. All of these type of fear-based control tactics, they want to cause you distress. They want you to buckle under fear. They
Yep.
want you to succumb to their control. They want you to do what they say. They feel like they have your freedom in the palm of their hands. And so they're using the fear tactics to gain control and power. But I want you to know that you can take that power back.
Yep.
Absolutely. 𝒊𝒎𝒎𝒊𝒈𝒓𝒄 is a ways for you to take that power back. Absolutely.
Yes. And so if you are someone who is trying, because I'm telling you, like, if you look at and then I'm I'm having to use part of my lunch break for consultations. That's how crazy it has been. And it's a lot because of a lot of fear. I had a consult with someone today where this man basically locked this woman in the house for almost 48 hours. Allowed her son literally had to break down the door. And she said, I met with her and her 18-year-old son, and he said that my mom is so traumatized that she feels like even when he came in and he threatened, they actually had to get to the point. It was like, I'm going to call the cops. So he's nowhere to be found. She still cannot leave the house. She can't leave the house. That's how traumatized she is. And so everything that he has done, like, okay, he's going to call ICE. She doesn't have papers and all. So if you find yourself going through any of that situation, please note this. You have a right to be able to see, okay, do I qualify, or what immigration benefit can I qualify for? Especially if it's in a spousal relationship, whether or not the person is a green card holder or a citizen, as long as you're still married to them, or even if you're divorced from them, if you recall the things that transpired, then divorce is less than 2 years, and that's great as well. Talk to a lawyer, number one. Your second stop, your very next stop should be calling a licensed professional counselor. Now, I want to stress, there are, to each their own, but a one-page letter from a therapist is not going to cut it. And Ms. Scott, if you talk more on that, why that is just not how you prove abuse and anything else that has to do with credibility. Keep in mind, a case like VAR, for instance, you are not, I know there's a new policy where they're scheduling for interview, but for instance, if someone files just a VAR petition, you're not being called for an interview. So if you would touch on why just one-page letter is not part, it's not, that's just not going to suffice.
Right. So part of the evaluation, part of the interviewing process, part of the assessments that I'm giving you is to see if you qualify for a DS5 diagnosis. So for example, a diagnosis might be anxiety disorder, or post-traumatic stress syndrome, or depressive disorder, or adjustment disorder, right? And so in order for someone licensed to say, you fit the criteria for this disorder, we have to prove that with the written testimony. Right. So if you have one page to describe what you've been through, let's just say that it takes, right. Let's just say that you've been with the abuser for years. Okay. We're already past the page of what you've been through. Okay. Now, after we explain what you've been through, we've got to go in and I've got to share with the reader how you qualify for a diagnosis. 1 or 2 pages, I only have this much space. It's not enough. It's not enough. It really, your testimony really is going to take up at least 4 or 5 pages.
And that is true.
My assessments of the situation is going to take up at least 10 pages, right? Yes. So it's impossible to really gather your full evidence within that short of space.
That's what, And you also have to note that there's quite a number, because if you are going through or in an abusive relationship, a very manipulative relationship, you're married to a narcissist, hardly would you even have sufficient documents. They keep that from you. They don't want you to have access to anything. You can't access their birth certificate, their naturalization, their green card, because it's part of the control. But because you can speak with a professional, and they, based on the session she would have with you, is able to know whether or not she feels you are credible. And because that's her training, that's what she's trained to do professionally, and be able to, document that in a report, a very detailed report that can actually be used to give an insight to an immigration officer that this is the reason why you don't have, insurance. This is the reason why you don't have many photographs, because all your photographs were on the phone and that phone is broken. Ms. Scott writes a report and details what happened and why she believes that was a credible situation, what kind of abuse that falls into. So we've got, I don't even know how many cases we've done together now. But thank you, Jesus. Not one, knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood, not one has been denied. If we have, sometimes we've got RFEs that, we have to either an RFE that on the case that I did, or most of the time it's someone who filed themselves, they're coming to me and are like, okay, Ms. Scott, I need you. This is what I need you for. And, right now I'm looking at Miss St is on YouTube. Miss St is one of my very first clients that I referred to Miss Scott. And she's the one in Georgia. She's got 5 kids. I don't know if you can remember her. So I said, good evening, Miss Scott. I'm
Hi.
glad to see you tonight. So it is very, very invaluable for your case. So if you are seeing yourself going through this whole period where we're all dealing with it, the immigration atmosphere is just crazy. The last thing you want to now have is to live with someone who's going to make that anxiety even 10 times worse. This is your way out. You speak with an immigration attorney. As you're making an appointment with an immigration attorney, you make an appointment with Miss Scott, or whoever is licensed in your state. And Miss Scott, if you would let us know, because some of my cases you've had 3 sessions with them, not so often, but what kind of case, or what would necessitate someone having more than 1 session?
If, like, you spoke of the woman that you spoke to today and she had a son. Okay. And so if you have children who, I usually say at least 10 and older, who is able to communicate what they've been through, then we also need an additional session to add their testimony to the report. Right. Yeah. And there are some people who have been with their abuser for 10 years, 6 years, 5 years. There's no way that they can really share what they've been through in 1 or 2 sessions. Another thing that I see is there are people who suppress their abuse, right? There are people who the only way that they can get through day to day is to suppress what is happening. So I'll start the session with them, and they'll have a very hard time recalling what has happened to them. They have suppressed it because it's so painful. Yeah. And so then I know that I'm working with somebody who is going to need a little bit more time. Absolutely. Processing what they've been through. Then I have people who say, you know what? Our first 2 sessions, 1 or 2 sessions, you shook up all my memories. Now I remember more. It's coming back to me. Or I had a nightmare. It's coming back to me. And I say, okay, let's use the same Zoom link and get back on, right? Exactly. So it's just different cases, different situations. But as many as is needed for you to be able to share your experience so that we can document it properly.
Yes. And another thing I would say is, even if you're not working with me as your immigration attorney or working with Ms. Scott as your therapist, make sure that you are able to have an attorney who is in communication with your therapist. That is absolutely important to me. I review all reports when she sends it to me. If there's, because the report will, it doesn't match word for word, but it cannot conflict with your declaration. It cannot conflict with your witness affidavits. All of that go hand in hand. And I remember there was a therapist that when I first started doing VAW cases years ago, where she just would not allow me to see the report in spite of, and it's like, makes no sense. How I wouldn't be able to say anything until we're about to file. And that caused a lot of delay for me. And she had an issue with, this contradicts what is in the declaration. This is, you were given a copy of the declaration questionnaire or whatever the case may be. And she goes, well, that's what the client said. We're talking about people who have been through trauma. They're not going to remember what they said yesterday. It may not match what they say today because they're trying to go through that without having to relieve the pain all over again, right? So sometimes memory just fails us, and that's just a reality. And necessarily we don't work together anymore because I was like, no.
Yeah, so that would be very difficult because
I mean, an email. Yeah, I was like, oh, I haven't heard from you. Why? No, you ain't going to hear from me because
the client is at the center, and so we want to make sure that all the I's are dotted, all of the T's are crossed.
Absolutely.
Right? So whatever we need to do that.
And so, we go back and forth, and if there's, so like, hey, we need to make a correction in this or verify that information with the client so we know if it's on us or the client made an error. So having a team that works for your benefit so that you can succeed, not just in the immigration case, but you can actually be free of abuse. That's priceless. You can't put a price tag on that. So, Ms. Scott, if you will let us know, let me just make sure we talked about the new policies out that is weaponized, what you can do, how a psychological evaluation strengthens your case, and types of abuse. Is there anything else you want to add, Ms. Scott?
And no, I know. I think that, now people are in the era of doing their research, making sure that they are informed. If you're not sure if a evaluation is for you, I offer a free consultation. I have a consultation with anybody regardless, right? So you have questions, as long as you're not asking for legal advice, you're asking for legal advice, I'm going to point you to the attorney. But if you have questions, you want to know a little bit more about the session. There are some people who are just a little bit afraid to tell their story for the first time. And so if you have questions and you want to just kind of do a consultation, reach out to me. I'm licensed in Georgia, Florida, Texas, Alabama, Ohio, Illinois, New Jersey.
Okay, but hold on 1 second. Let me write it down.
You can know they'll be able to see that on my website. But I also want to say that that legislation is really opening up due to the number of people who are needing, kind of like what happened during COVID. What happened during COVID is they allowed some flexibility for therapists to see people across different states because they were inundated. And we're almost getting to that point again. Getting to that point again. But there's a counseling compact that is going into effect that prayerfully will go into effect that will allow us to see in all 50 states, just like attorneys have a compact.
Like an immigration attorney,
Right. But please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or if you would like a free consultation.
So I just want to have a rundown of all the states where you can help people. So I got Texas, you said Ohio, right?
Yeah,
Texas,
Georgia, Florida, Alabama.
Texas, Ohio, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, New Jersey,
Ohio, Illinois.
Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Should
be 8. So Georgia, Florida, Texas, Alabama, Ohio, New Jersey, Ohio, and Illinois.
So I have Texas, Ohio, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, New Jersey, Illinois.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
And if you have questions, no matter where you are, call me.
Yes. So I have all the states that she's currently licensed in to see people. So if you are a client of mine instead of Georgia, instead of Alabama, like whatever the states are here, I'm going to be referring to her, and you deal directly with her. And I mean, I'm very picky, I'm very particular about the work that I do. So for me, it's important that I have a therapist that is going to put the interest of my clients as priority, and that's what she does. And so, it's been a joy just working with you, and I look forward to many, many years to work with you. Her contact information, so Texas, Ohio, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, New Jersey, Illinois, and her contact information right there on the screen. Number is 678-468-5090. So just like we're doing virtually, she's able to see it the same way I do in my consults. Does anybody have questions for Ms. Scott? Let me just go through that and see if
somebody said, I filed my VAWA case almost 7 months ago, and I have a prima facie letter, and I have a removal order for my previous case, asylum. Will I have any problems if I catch ICE?
Okay, is that which one is that on Instagram? Where? Okay, I'm looking at that. All right, let me just go through. So I'm going through that. Hi, Miss Christiana, how are you? So I want to make sure that if you have any questions for Miss Scott, we can, and then I'll come to TikTok as well. And you see, Raquel says I use Miss Scott, and she is very educated in what she's absolutely. And with my session with her, I get to stop blaming myself and understand the level of abuse I went through. I'm telling you, it's not even just for your immigration case. It's about you surviving this crazy moment. We gotta the next 4 years. You got to survive and not run yourself crazy. Get an evaluation done. It will help you not only with your case. That's exactly what I just said. So I'm going to put, so she says, get an evaluation done. It will help you not only with your case, but also with self-healing. Absolutely true.
Thank you
because
for that.
Your immigration journey goes beyond just submitting your application. It's about your complete well-being. Okay. I filed my VAWA case 7 months ago, and I have prima facie letter, and I have a removal order from my previous. Will I have any problem if I catch ICE? That's not a question I can answer really, because it's case specific. But filing a VAWA petition with a prima facie does not protect you from being from being arrested. That's just the truth of the matter. This is Miss ST, whose case was, she said out here, whose case was approved. The evaluation report on her case was with Ms. Scott. So let me tell you something. I am very picky. If you work with me, you know I am. I am very particular. So, and she has the patience of a saint. So she says, which state are you in? I'm not sure who the question is for, but my office is located in Alabama. Ms. Scott is based in Georgia. But once again, let me put all the states that she currently can see clients in: Texas, Ohio, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, New Jersey, Illinois. And she does, just like we're talking right now, does virtual consultations. Okay. How long can I be with my abuser to qualify for VAWA? Just got married December, but going through a lot. Ms. Scott, I'll let you take that question.
Yeah, that happens. That's very, very common. We call that the bait and switch, right? Okay. So things were fine. Everything was fine. They were on board to help, lovey-dovey. Soon as that you either move, relocate, or move in, or get married, boom, bait and switch. So, and I think the saddest thing is when I hear people say, I've been going through it for 10 years, or that breaks my heart. Oh, it breaks my heart. So if you see the red flags, you see the abuse, there's no reason for you to stay in hell longer than you have to.
Absolutely. And also, just to add to that, there is no, on the legal part of it, there is no time frame for you to be married in order to qualify for VAWA. Keep in mind that the shared residency requirement, for instance, you can't use evidence from even before you got married as part of your shared residency requirement evidence. That means that if you're able to show that the abuse started from the time you started living together and continued post marriage, that's part of what she would do during a session. It's not just, okay, you got married and this is what we're limited to. No, that I can almost guarantee that if like you said, bait and switch, right? If that happens so quickly after marriage, they have to have been signed before the marriage even occurred, that it was just like, oh, I'm sorry. It was just, and especially when it comes to, love, people we just, especially women, we ignore a lot. And then it's full blown as soon as you get married. It's like, okay, now I got you. Now I control you. And so,
And I want to say something really quick for the men.
Yes.
One of the most common things that I see for men is the financial and the economic abuse, right? So you have an agreement, we're going to split the bills, we're both going to contribute to the household. And then boom, you get married, she quits her job, doesn't want to help out, doesn't want to, still requesting large sums of money, using your card without permission, basically wanting to drain you dry. That is so common. So common that I see in the relationships where the male is being abused. They are taking advantage of you and trying to drain you dry financially. So
yes, absolutely. Okay, let me go on Instagram. Let's see. We can see you and hear you pretty well. Okay, good. And this actor says, "Good evening, Miss Scott." Yes, she is phenomenal. I'm telling you, we've been working together for what, 4 years?
Maybe, yeah.
I think it's 4 years now.
Yeah,
because I remember Miss Esther's case. I think it was either 21 or 22. But listen,
it was the thick of COVID. I know we were in the thick of right after COVID.
Yes,
that
is true. That is very true. Yes, because there was still masks all over the place. Okay, so let's see. Let's see. Welcome. I'm just trying to see. Where are you located, Miss Scott? She's in Georgia. But once again, those states where she's located in Georgia, but if you are a resident of any of those states that we had on earlier on, I'm just going to put it back. So if you are a resident of any of these states, she's able to take on your case. All right, let's see. So what else? I want to make sure you get all the questions from Ms. Scott answered. Some ground rules, economic and psychological. Okay. Does month of abuse matter? What does that mean? Does month Oluwasegun, I don't understand you. What do you mean by does month of abuse matter? Let's see.
And this is also if you have individual questions like this, do a consultation. Do a consultation with the attorney, do a consultation so that you can get your personal, because this is your life. Exactly. I mean, if you think about it like this, if you had a physical health ailment, you would immediately go to the doctor.
Exactly. Let's see. And that's absolutely right. And one of the things that I do is once I have a consult with a potential client, and then we're starting a VAWA case or an asylum case, even before we're set in our system with a client, I just send an email to me, Scott, like, hey, I need you to get started on this. I know. So let's see. I want to see if there's any question on TikTok for you before we let you go. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I'll come back to questions that don't have to do with Miss Scott, but I just want to make sure that she gets her questions, the questions relating to her expertise answered. So then we'll come back to all of that. Okay. It's mainly about immigration stuff. Okay. All right. Nothing personal immigration. All right, Miss Scott.
Thank you. You have a wonderful night. Good night, everyone. God bless.
Once again, this is that was Miss Scott. Her number is 678-468-5090. All righty. So let me go back and see if there's are there any questions? Okay, Miss Esty said it was 2022. Okay, so 3 years now. All right. That's 3 years already. Wow. Okay. Just got married. All right, so I already answered that. Hope y'all are doing okay. Any other questions? All right, let me go on TikTok. If someone got RFE for divorce through VAWA, if someone got an RFE for divorce through VAWA, what do you add? I'm not sure I understand your question. Or what do you advise? I advise that he or she sits down with a lawyer to evaluate their case and see what can be done. Miss Scott details, Miss Sophia, her details are, let me pull it back up again. Give me 1 second. Her contact number is 𝒊𝒎𝒒-468-5090. That's the contact information. My question is on. Okay, let me see. What's your question? Finance Jenny, what's your question? Thank you, Miss Editor Sanctuary. Let's see. Finance Jenny, I don't see your question. Her number, phone number, please. Once again, her phone number is 678-468-5090. I'm going to put it back up here so you still have that while we're taking questions. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Ms. Secretary. It's on. Ms. Secretary put it on. It's on the screen, exactly. Phone number of the counselor. Yeah, so it's on the screen right there. Financially, what's your question? What about pending RFE with a valid work authorization? Is a person illegal? I think I stressed that on Tuesday. You having a valid work permit doesn't confer you any status. A work permit is just authorization to work. It's not a status. I'm not sure why people think having a work permit gives you some kind of authorization to stay. Maybe I'm missing something, but a work permit is not a status. It just you just can accept lawful employment. That's basically that. Okay. And yes, we represent immigration clients in all 50 states. 334-341-4475. Let's put the screen across the screen. Let's see. Plus, audio. Okay, Mama, I didn't know. Finally, what's your question? I'm trying not to miss anyone's question. Okay, let's go back to TikTok. I know there were some questions I had. Okay, let's see. My lawyer submitted a reopening motion because I have an order. I think you mean an absentia order. All right, so what's your question? When you give the summary, please follow with a question so I know exactly what you're asking. I have... You're just repeating the same thing without asking the question. I have gotten the receipt for about 3 months now, but I haven't heard anything yet. Real IB. Are you asking, let me be sure that's what you're asking. Are you saying that because you've gotten a receipt for your VAWA case, but you haven't had anything in 3 months, you expect the VAWA case to be approved in 3 months? Is that what you're saying? I just want to be sure that that's what you're asking, you're insinuating, because then you must not know about VAWA before you filed it. Is it safe to travel internationally with green card? It doesn't mean you cannot be stopped to ask questions, even especially for those who have 2-year green cards. But anything about, yeah. Let's see. Oh, what did I do now? Okay, there we go. I'm trying not to miss anyone's question, so bear with me, people. Okay, let's try to take this person out. Okay, there we go. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Oh, it's February though, but Okay, say her number again. Hold on 1 second. Miss Scott. Let's see. 678-468-5090. 678-468-5090. I have a pending 751 since November 2021. Are you serious? That's beyond, way beyond processing time. I'm sure you're already eligible for citizenship. You may want to file that, and that could help to fast track your case. I got my case transferred to another office without the approval of my vow. What does that mean? It just means they're still adjudicating your case, and there's been a lot of transfer. That's one question we get all the time, like, what to be of case. That's just what's going on. So it's just part of the adjudication process. Let's see. Oh, by the way, the so-called thing that was going around, someone was asking again about it. This, if you're traveling, exiting the United States, you have to use the U.S. passport. It's been debunked that it was just fake news. People are just going to say all kind of stuff, but that's okay. Let's see. I got transferred. Okay. Is an LPR abuse? Can an LPR abuser be deported from the U.S. if there's a violent case through emotional abuse against him? All right, so let me rephrase your question. You're asking if you file a violent case and against your green card holder spouse, is that going to make them deported? Short answer is no. Obviously, I can guarantee anything. Disclaimer, general information, nothing specific to anyone's case, but a VAWA petition is a confidential process where USCIS cannot divulge information from your case and use that against the abuser. That's just what the law is. Now, I will hope that regardless of the craziness of policies and all that, this administration will abide by the law. But yeah, that is what the law is. If you have a pending case through VAWA, is it advisable for your employer to file for you? There's nothing that says your employer cannot file for you, but the question is, will you be able to get a green card through the employment petition? And if you're not in any valid status, you can get a green card through employment without having to leave the country. And if you have overstayed before your VAWA was filed, you're probably going to need a waiver. So it's not about whether the employer can file for you. The question is, can you get a green card based on that petition? Okay, all right. So you can hear my baby singing. Let's see. That's the same person that just asked the question on TikTok. Oh, thank you for joining on multiple updates about NBC. Update about what? Still expecting welcome letter, but gotten case and ID number. If you have your case an ID number, then log into the CEAC account and pay your fees and start uploading your documents. I filed my VAWA September 2023. I have not received any prima facie determination, but I have done biometrics February 2024. But until now, I've not heard anything from USCIS. In cases like that, what I do is, I had one case that took almost a year for us to get a prima facie determination, and God knows I probably sent them. I don't think you might shut me down. You're okay. That lady's crazy. I've lost count how many emails I sent them. It was we did ombudsman inquiry, congressional assistance, because I was like, okay, well, there's no reason for my client not to have. And in almost 10 years, that was the very first case that pulling everybody's teeth in Vermont Service Center to get. But my point is, if you have an attorney on your case, ask them. Now, it's usually a courtesy service. It's not because, we don't have time to, but because I knew my client needed those benefits. And so it was a labor of love, more or less. And finally, almost a year after we filed it, we filed her case in 2023. We got it November 2024. So that's what I would say. You've got to contact them. And if you have an attorney, let your attorney send an email to get a copy for you, to request that they send you one. Sometimes they just forget. Is DACA a legal status? How do these executive orders affect DACA recipients? DACA is not a legal status. DACA is a deferred action status, where it has been the protection for DACA recipients is they will not. It's deferred action because the being removed is deferred. However, with this new administration, especially with the Laken Riley Act, it doesn't matter whether you've got a deferred action or not. If they arrest you for petty offense or shoplifting, whatever the case may be, the person may end up being deported regardless of whatever protection you already had before. So that's what we're seeing. So in DACA recipients, for instance, especially for those who have gone out of the country and they're back in and have illegal entry, you're dating a citizen, the best thing you can do for yourself at this time is to get married. If it's I'm not saying go get married for a green card. Green card. Get married if you are in a serious relationship, so that that person can now file for you. I always tell people that, when I consult with people and they say, well, I don't want to bring up the issue of my immigration status because I don't want my girlfriend or my fiance to think that I'm using them for immigration papers. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Let's call it spade a spade. It's not, and that is part of what you should be able to talk about and benefit from. If you love me enough and you want me to stay back in the country with you and have a life with you here, and you are aware that I'm undocumented, please understand, I expect you to file for me. If that's not part of what's going to be laid on the table, then let me keep going. How are we going to plan a future if you're not going to think about filing for me? Make it make sense. So that's it is what it is. Put it out there and like, hey, this is my situation. I love you, but do you love me enough to make sure that I want to be here permanently? End of story. So that's what I would say. Congratulations, Sinisa. You, we had a complicated citizenship application. One of said complications was he fathered the child during the statutory period with somebody else that was not his wife. And so that was, if you come to me with that kind of stuff, I will set it up front. We're going to put the name of your child in your citizenship application, and we'll just pray that God helps us. Anyway, his interview was yesterday. I had a lawyer standing for me, Attorney Leila. Shout out to Attorney Leila in Atlanta. She is my only go-to in the ATL. If I'm not able to go, and she prepped with him, we set him up good. And as God will have it, he had one of the best. I mean, it was. The prayer was like, oh, Lord Jesus, don't let it come up. But anyway, Mr. Yu was sworn in as a citizen yesterday after being so afraid to take the plunge. And now he's a citizen. We are very, very grateful to God for giving him grace and favor. Okay. My U.S. citizen wife filed for me. We're currently in consular processing outside the United States. Her divorce decree became active on 20th February 2024, but was typed wrongly as 28th February 2000 when it's supposed to. Okay, I showed the error after a few months later. We already filed the lawyer who worked on the case and the birth country and I had gone to. Okay, I record this. How do we inform USCIS and correct this error since we've already found? Contact USCIS. Does the recipient you said you're already on consular processing. If you're already at the embassy state, then just upload that, and that's a correction that can be done at the embassy level. But general information, nothing specific to your case. That's just what I would do or recommend without knowing much about your case. So when in doubt, get an attorney. That's what I always say. My 1 year prima facie expires soon, and I've not received an extension as yet. Should I be worried? No, because they will send you, as long as your address hasn't changed, they should send it to you automatically. Okay, let's see. Okay. What about, I've seen that, I've seen that, I've seen that. How do the, okay. Doesn't matter if the spouse is 20 years younger, doesn't make any red flag. A big age gap cannot be the basis of denial, cannot be a ground to deny an application. So the fact that there's a big age gap between the parties is not a factor that should be the reason why a case is denied. However, USCIS has the discretion to consider the age gap just to make sure, because it's usually one of the red flags for quote unquote a sham marriage. So they have the discretion to consider that in addition to the bona fide evidence submitted, just to make sure that it's not a sham marriage. I think the biggest age gap I've had was in a fiancé visa petition. He has his green card now, but they have a 39-year age gap between them. We listen, we don't judge. Yeah, we listen, we don't judge. 39 years, 39-year age gap between them. So I think he's 30 now. I think it's 39, and she's almost 70. We listen, we don't judge, because he has his green card. So if you want to judge and you don't have your green card, don't be judging. He has his green card now. So it's a factor, but it's not. So it's something to factor in, but it's not a basis for which a case can be denied. I hope that answers your question. How do the executive orders affect DACA recipients? Basically, what has been released so far is what we know. It's just that having the DACA is not necessarily protection for people now, is what we're saying. So that's what I'm saying, that for those who have had a illegal entry since being granted DACA, now you're now eligible to adjust status based on marriage to U.S. citizen, and you are actually dating a citizen. I really don't see why you will procrastinate on that. Okay. Let's see. Can someone transfer their asylum removal proceedings to a different court? Will it delay? You can't transfer it. The court where the court that has jurisdiction based on your residency, where you live, is the court where your case is going to be, unless you're relocating. So if you relocate and you change your address, which you're required to notify the court, then you also would be required to do a change of venue, motion to change venue. Can traveling on 𝒊𝒎𝒊𝒈 delay? Anything about traveling, that's not a question I'm going to answer. They see the sender, and just know it's red fonts. I'm telling you, those people are going to tell me like one day, like, this lady is crazy. But hey, it is what it is. I've already answered that question. If someone is still in the vow process, can the person divorce? Generally, I would tell my clients, if there is no immediate reason for you to file a divorce, God forbid you have to start all over again. That's kind of like, for whatever reason. But if it's they want to divorce, you want to divorce yourself, or you feel that your case is a strong case, then there shouldn't be any reason. But that's just my take on that. Usually I say let's just wait. But if there's a reason that you can't wait, then yeah, well, listen, that's it. 39 years and he's got his green card, so let it go. Listen, don't judge. So All right. Okay. So I think we covered how is divorce decree from Nigeria. How is divorce decree from Nigeria is evaluated? Y'all just be throwing English words together, and it's like, okay, come on now, and help me now. So am I confused? I've been going with English, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? I guess you mean, Toby, how is a divorce decree from Nigeria evaluated? Is verification on the Lagos website enough? Usually, it depends on. You want to have that evaluated by someone who practices family law in Nigeria. So, for instance, I always tell people that you can send me a divorce decree. I don't authenticate documents, but I can tell you based on what I've seen, and I've seen so many, what may stand out as an issue. But obviously, if you contact a family law attorney in Nigeria and go through and read up on what the reciprocity schedule says is expected, and depending on the year that you filed your divorce in Nigeria would determine whether or not it's something that should be recorded on the Lagos State Judiciary website. So there's a lot of stuff that goes, there are a lot of factors that go into determining that. Okay. After RFE and submitted medical, when should I be expecting my green card approval? That's another question I can answer. I think you asked me on Tuesday as well. Okay. All right, people. Thank you. Once again, immediately after interview, I-485 and I-130 change to cases being actively reviewed. What does that mean? It means that a case is being actively reviewed. Approved VAWA, order removal, denied appeal, doing joint motion. Am I okay? If you have an attorney, speak to the attorney and let them give you advice on your case. So some cases and some questions are not just yes, no. Confirm. I don't have time for process like this. Okay. Alrighty. All right, people. I think we got to all questions. I have a work permit, social security number, advanced parole, and an I-130 approved, waiting on I-485. Am I in legal status? Short answer, no. Are you authorized to stay physically? Short answer, generally yes, based on the fact that you've got an I-485 application pending. How long after approval for VAWA does green card get approved? That varies. There's no set time. Okay. All right. So, all right, everybody. Thank you once again to Ms. Scott. It's always a blessing and very educated when she is here. If undocumented immigrant goes back to her country, will she be allowed to come back to the U.S. because she has 4 young kids here? There's no basis because you have children there's no eligibility grant just because you have kids here to be able to come back. Once you leave, you've got no document or no re-entry document. You've overstayed. You're going to trigger at least a 10-year bar, which most people overstay more than 6 months. So, thank you. Okay, so so many people just thrive on fear. That's okay. Let them do that, but you don't have to subscribe to their rhetorics and fear. But I'm seeing an uptick of people just being in very, very miserable abusive relationships and all this policies being used to basically hold them hostage in their own lives. If that is you, please understand that you have an option. Consult with an attorney that you trust. Do an evaluation with people like Ms. Scott or whoever it is in your state. You're not alone. We are a group. We are a community as immigrants. We are looking out for one another. We will continue to keep looking out for one another, God helping us. There is no error. Nobody has come to this country by mistake. If you are here, there is a purpose for that being here. And there is nothing that God starts that he does not finish. There is absolutely nothing that he starts that he does not finish. So if God started it, he will complete it. Do not let anyone let you live in fear, but at the same time, make sure that you are taking steps in order to achieve the purpose for which you are here for, and leave the rest in God's hands. God remains faithful. He has never failed. There is no record of failure with God. So whatever the storm is that we may be passing through, he is going to be there every step of the way. Do your part. Leave the rest in God's hands. I'll see you guys next week. Have a wonderful weekend.